Once I drank an entire bottle of Jägermeister in one sitting. This was at a Christmas party in college. The whole process only took around 10 minutes. I time travelled 8 hours into the future with no recollection of events that took place. However, I gathered some stories from my friends to account for my broken foot, scraped out face and torso, and bruises all over my body. Apparently, the bruises were from falling down 2 flights of stairs after my friend wouldn't let me into her room because I was scaring the shit out of her friends. The scratches were mostly from attempting to fuck a tree. The broken foot was from kicking the bumper of a car. A friend in town was staying for the weekend and found me wandering campus solo at around 4 AM. He's taking me back to my dormitory when I figured it's a good idea to run on top of cars lined up in the parking lot. After jumping around 4 cars or so, I finally misstepped and fell. I was so pissed off that I had fallen that I got up and kicked the bumper seemingly as hard as I could. Not a good idea. Those things are designed to sustain impacts. I was thrown out of Denny's, pissed on 2 of the 3 guys I was hanging out with while we were in a huddle. They chased me back to the apartment with their dicks out trying to piss on me. Managed not to get pissed on, but woke up in my friend's hall with no clothes, a towel over me in a fashion of a sheet being draped over a dead body. Couldn't find the clothes, so I sobered up and drove home. In front of a high school band, I pulled over and vomited out my door and shit myself at the same time. I blacked out and I woke up in a neck brace being asked if I could wiggle my toes. I'd apparently fallen 18 feet off a roof onto cement. I fractured one wrist, dislocated the other and dislocated my elbow. I slept through the helicopter ride to the hospital. I was completely shocked by what I woke up to. Thankfully, I am not paralysed. Moral of the story: when drinking, stay off the damn roof. For some reason, one night I thought it would be a good idea to down a bottle of Tesco own brand homemade vodka. I didn't believe it was awful as everyone said it was. But it was. The next thing I knew, I'm blackout drunk and passed out on the floor. I come to and find my husband trying to scoop me up. I look at him, smile, hug him, and proceed to punch him in the balls. I have no idea why I did it, and I still feel awful to this day. I'm never drinking that shit again. I was at a party with a few friends, and we decided to head to a bar for a pint. My housemate got really quiet, but he didn't order a beer, so we figured he was just tired. So after half an hour or so, he decides to head home from the bar while the rest of us are still drinking. We were only a few blocks from our apartment, so I figured he could make it by himself. When I get back later, I notice he's not there. Weird, but okay. I think I tried calling him or texting him and he didn't respond to it, so I went to sleep. Next morning I wake up. I notice that he's back. Turns out he remembers nothing after the party and was woken up at 5:30 AM in the morning by a security guard in the staircase of a retirement home. The guard was asking how he got in as there were several locked doors. To this day, nobody has any idea, he himself too, of how he got into the house. Best drunken experience. I had a birthday party with all of my friends, had an awesome time with them all, but I got trashed. Apparently I threw up all over myself in the end. My 2 best friends gave me a bath, washed me, carried me to bed, got me some water and crackers, and slept in my bed with me to make sure I didn't throw up again while sleeping and kill myself. Then, when we woke up, they cooked me breakfast in bed. Worst drunken experience. I have a few, but this is probably the worst. No idea what happened. Woke up in bed with a guy twice my age and 5 times my size. Was very sore and he had obviously not worn a condom. I practically turned the house upside down and couldn't find my clothes anywhere, not even my shoes or underwear, so I couldn't just dip out quietly. This was New Year's Eve 2014. Probably 15 friends and I went to Chicago to celebrate it. We were from Michigan. We bought tickets to some bar, which had free drinks until midnight. My friend got really sick, so we decided to leave, but we were probably 3 or 4 miles from our hotel. We took a cab to the bar, so we all got outside as a group to hail a few cabs and get back to our hotel. Well, surprisingly enough, standing on the side of the street waving money was not working in getting a cab to stop. I think one of them did stop, but some asshole jumped in it first. Finally, a car slows down in front of the bar and I run up to it. It was a normal car, but considering we were in Chicago and it slowed down, I figured it was an Uber driver. Anyway, before I even speak to the driver, my friend who was sick runs and jumps into the back seat. This leads 3 of my other friends to pile into the back seat as well. I hop in the front, still no conversation with the driver, and ask him, "Hey man, you know where the Marriott is? I'll make it worth your while." Dude looks super confused, but also scared. He says nothing, but just starts driving. Meanwhile, my friend is in the back seat and starts shouting, "What the fuck man, you don't know where the hotel is? This is the worst fucking cab ever!" After the dude gets lost, at least one time, and uses his phone for navigation, we finally reach the hotel. Flash forward to the next morning. One of the girls in the car who wasn't that drunk tells me, "I can't believe that dude drove us home last night." I say, "Yeah well, that's his job, isn't it?" "What are you talking about? That was just some random dude driving down the street. He told you guys at least twice, but none of you guys listened. You guys just kept on saying, 'We'll make it worth your while.'" So, last night I was so drunk I gave the cab the wrong address when I was trying to get home from the bar. He ended up dropping me off like a mile away from where I lived. I walked around trying to get my bearings and slipped on the ice, re-breaking the frames of my glasses and hurting my knee. Eventually, I reached what I thought was my entrance to my apartment and I tried to get in, but none of my keys worked. I smoked a cigarette and tried calling my roommate, but he didn't pick up. I looked for my car on the street and realised it was not there. I must be at the wrong place. A few minutes later, I see a cop car driving up and they stop right in front of me. They ask, "Do you know where you are?" And I said something on the lines of, "Honestly officers, I'm really drunk. Can you please give me a ride home?" They looked at each other and kind of laughed, and one of them said, "I've been there before man. Let me see your ID so I can run your information real quick." I gave them my ID and got into the back seat. I explained more about what happened as they ran my name into the computer. I came up clean, so they decided to give me a ride home. And that's when I decided to throw up all over the police car and all over the officers. A bunch of my friends and I went to a club for my 23rd birthday. We got there around 10 and everybody started buying me shots. I probably had around 10 drinks over the next hour, so I was drunk by 11 already. We went to the dance floor and started dancing. Next thing I know, I wake up in the morning in my bed with vomit all over my girlfriend and me. Apparently, I semi-passed out around 11:15 and threw up on myself around 11:30. I got kicked out of the club and my girl and 2 friends drove me home by midnight. At one point during the night, I supposedly started throwing up in the trash can in my room. My girlfriend woke up, felt nauseated by the sound and smell, and started throwing up in the same trash can. We had never felt so close before. I was staying at a casino with some friends and family, and no one could decide on a single place for dinner, so we decided to split up and go to wherever we wanted. We met up at a piano bar afterwards. By that time I had already had a lot to drink. At one point I figured it would be a good idea to go on stage for a singing contest. If I won the contest, my tab got to be taken care of. I lost, and went back to the bar to buy a few drinks to drown my sorrows. Later I go to the urinal. As I'm standing there at the urinal, I feel my gut turn. Oh shit, I'm about to and I puke all over the urinal. Well, mostly in the urinal. I made a half-assed attempt to clean it up and decided I was done for the night. Mind you, I didn't tell anybody where I went afterwards. I also never closed out my tab. I stumbled back to my room, which was thankfully in the same building as the bar. I still have no fucking idea how the hell I managed to find the room. Not that it mattered though, because I did not remember where my room key was at the time. It was in my wallet, which was in my back pocket. So I sat there in the hallway right outside my room, attempting to communicate with people via text, so they knew where I was and could come to help me. My efforts were lost on their much more sober brains however, as they could not understand that "foom now" meant "please come to the hotel room as I need to puke again and I can't remember where I put my room key." Nope. Instead I puked into my hands and lap while sitting outside the door to my room. Eventually they stumbled back to the rooms and saw me in the hallway. I tried to express how grateful I was to see them, but instead I just vomited again over myself. In hindsight, maybe it was an apt way of expressing how I felt. I was obviously in no shape to sleep on a bed, and I had to walk 20 feet to the bathroom every time I needed to puke, so I slept in the bathroom. After a few minutes on the floor, I thought it would be much easier just to turn my head and puke into the drain than lift my body from the floor to the toilet, so I decided to sleep in the bathtub instead. I climbed in, fully clothed, and spent the night alternating between puking and pissing myself. I didn't care much at the time because I turned on the shower every half an hour so I could get warm. Obviously, crawling to the room for a blanket was out of the question. Next morning we had to check out, but I could not move my body and did not have any control over my bodily functions. Luckily, my friends were kind enough to pack my suitcase up for me. Ever since that drunken experience, I have never ever touched alcohol again.